The mess hall was alive with energy, a vibrant hub where service members gathered to recharge after long hours of training and missions. The clinking of trays and the sizzling sounds from the kitchen blended into a comforting hum, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie. Each table was filled with laughter, friendly banter, and the unmistakable smell of hearty meals being served. Bright fluorescent lights illuminated the space, casting a warm glow over the sea of uniforms. Soldiers, sailors, and airmen shared tales of their day, recounting both triumphs and humorous mishaps. Serving trays piled high with steaming food made their way through the bustling lines, as everyone eagerly chatted about upcoming drills or shared news from home. It was a place where everyone felt a sense of belonging, a break from the rigors of their demanding lives. At one corner table, a group of seasoned SEALs made themselves comfortable. Their conversation was lively, punctuated by playful jabs at each other's mishaps during training exercises. They were known for their toughness and skills in the field, but today they seemed more focused on teasing one another than discussing tactics or operations. Among them sat Emily, a determined female SEAL who had earned her place at the table through hard work and grit. She had trained alongside some of the best, overcoming obstacles that many thought would hold her back. As she joined her peers for lunch, the camaraderie felt familiar and warm. However, this day unfolded differently. One of the senior SEALs raised an eyebrow and made a comment about Emily's rank, a jab that seemed light-hearted but carried a sharp edge. Maybe if you spent less time on paperwork and more time in the field, he chuckled, prompting laughter from those around him. The laughter echoed through the hall as several others chimed in with mock comments about her rank. The mood shifted slightly. While some laughed along, others exchanged glances that showed discomfort at the teasing. Emily felt her heart race, but kept her composure. Here in this hall filled with noise and laughter, she would not let this moment define her. Instead of responding immediately, she took a deep breath, observing her surroundings, the camaraderie that usually thrived here, now feeling edged with tension. She knew she had an important role to play, not just for herself, but for every woman striving to stand tall in a male-dominated world. This mess hall moment was more than just lunch. It was about respect and strength within their community. With determination flickering in her eyes, she prepared to speak up and shift the atmosphere for good. Emily had always been driven. From a young age, she dreamed of joining the military and becoming a part of something greater than herself. Growing up in a small town, she watched her father serve as a firefighter and admired his bravery. Inspired by his courage, Emily dedicated herself to excelling in school and physical fitness. She was determined to prove that she could face any challenge head-on. After graduating high school, she enlisted in the Navy, where her dedication paid off. Emily was selected for Navy SEAL training, which was renowned for being one of the toughest and most grueling programs in the military. The rigorous training pushed her to her limits, both physically and mentally. But with every obstacle, she grew stronger. She learned to swim great distances, navigate treacherous terrains, and work as part of a close-knit team. Through countless early mornings and grueling scenarios, Emily also mastered marksmanship and combat skills that would prepare her for future missions. Despite the odds against her, often being one of only a few women in her class, Emily persevered. The pride of earning her trident was unmatched, It symbolized not just her achievement, but also the hard work and resilience it took to shuttle through training with peers who were often twice her size. Each time she wore her uniform, she felt a rush of pride that came from knowing that she had earned every bit of respect from her fellow SEALs. In the mess hall that day, as she sat among seasoned veterans sharing jokes and stories, Emily carried the weight of her journey. Each laugh around the table reminded her of the doubts she had faced along the way, the ones that tried to tell her she didn't belong. Instead, she held her chin high, embodying not just confidence, but also the spirit of all those who inspired her to break barriers. Though teased occasionally due to her rank, Emily never allowed such remarks to overshadow her accomplishments. After all she had worked through, early morning runs in freezing water, land navigation in blinding rain, race against time during missions, she knew her worth as a SEAL extended far beyond jokes made at a lunch table. As laughter faded into mockery at her expense, Emily steeled herself against the jabs aimed at her rank. This was an opportunity, a moment not just to defend herself, but to stand up for every woman who aspired to break into what had long been an exclusive world. She was ready to remind them all that true strength comes from within, and that respect is earned by those who dare to stand tall amidst any challenge. As the chatter filled the mess hall, Emily sat at a table with her fellow SEALs, trying to enjoy her meal amidst the lively atmosphere. The clattering of trays and the aroma of food created a backdrop that usually felt comforting. Today, however, the mood shifted when one of the senior SEALs, Jake, leaned back in his chair with a smug grin. "Hey, Emily," he called out, his voice loud enough to catch the attention of several tables nearby. "How's it feel to be the ranking officer of the paperwork department?" Laughter erupted from his friends around him, filling the hall with a mix of genuine amusement and awkwardness. Emily felt her heart race as she sensed the shift in energy. Several others at nearby tables turned, their heads intrigued by the unfolding scene. She had known Jake for years. He often joked around, but this felt different. The laughter rang harshly against her ears as she tried to keep her expression neutral. "Yeah," another SEAL chimed in with a laugh. "Maybe if you spent more time in training and less time behind a desk, you'd actually earn your rank." More chuckles followed as they exchanged playful jabs aimed at her role within their unit. Emily's stomach churned as she forced herself to maintain her composure. The mocking tone made it clear that they were not just joking. There was an underlying bitterness that cut deeper than any friendly ribbing she had experienced before. She could see some of her peers chuckling along, while others wore expressions that showed discomfort at the teasing. As she took a deep breath, memories flashed through her mind. The grueling nights spent training under extreme conditions, pushing past exhaustion while proving herself worthy among them. She recalled how hard she had fought for every ounce of respect she earned, and how those moments had built her into who she was today. The laughter continued, echoing off the mess hall walls as Emily sat quietly, weighing her options. Should she respond to deflect their comments or let it slide? Part of her wanted to laugh along to ease the tension, but another part burned with indignation at their dismissive attitudes. In this seemingly casual moment, filled with jest and laughter, it became clear that something deeper lay beneath their words. A challenge not just against her rank, but against everything she represented as a female SEAL. With determination stirring within her, Emily decided it was time to stand up for herself, not just for today, but for all women striving for respect in environments that sometimes felt hostile. She knew she had an important response brewing inside her. It was time to reclaim not only her dignity, but also to remind them what true strength looked like. As Emily sat there, the laughter continued to swell around her like a tide, but instead of receding, it grew stronger. Jake, now clearly in his element, leaned forward with a teasing smirk plastered on his face. "Come on, Emily. You know we're just looking out for you," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "We wouldn't want you to get too comfortable in your cozy little office chair." His friends erupted into another round of laughter, and the sound echoed loudly across the mess hall. Some SEALs at nearby tables glanced over, drawn in by the spectacle that had shifted from harmless fun to something more uncomfortable. Emily could feel their eyes on her, some full of amusement while others showed concern. It was as if they were all watching a slow-motion train wreck unfold. The jabs escalated and others joined in on the mockery. "Maybe we should get you a desk plaque that says, 'Queen of Paperwork,'" another SEAL shouted from across the room. More chuckles erupted, and Emily's stomach twisted further as she could see that this wasn't just playful banter anymore. It felt personal. The laughter turned sharp, like knives being thrown her way. Emily felt trapped in the spotlight as she tried to maintain her composure. She noticed a few faces in the crowd looked hesitant. They seemed torn between joining in on the laughter and standing up against what was becoming increasingly disrespectful. One young sailor who had trained with her looked away awkwardly, while another woman shot Emily an encouraging smile but stayed silent. The atmosphere became heavy with an awkward tension that hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. The teasing felt relentless, a barrage of words designed to undermine her confidence and challenge her place within their ranks. Each jibe dug deeper, reminding everyone of the biases that lingered even in places meant for camaraderie and brotherhood. Emily's heart raced faster as she stewed in this uncomfortable environment. She had fought hard to earn her spot among these men. She didn't deserve to be reduced to a punchline. The whispers of self-doubt crept into her mind, threatening to shake her resolve. What if they really thought less of her? Would she ever truly belong here? Yet within that swirling storm of emotions, determination began to rise. Emily realized that this moment was about more than just defending herself. It was about challenging the mindset that allowed such mockery to persist. She could no longer remain silent or shrink away from this confrontation. It was time to reclaim not only her dignity, but also stand up for every woman who faced similar taunts in spaces where they deserved respect. As she took a deep breath, steeling herself for what came next, she felt a flicker of strength igniting inside her, ready to transform this discomfort into an opportunity for change. Emily took a deep breath, letting the noise of the mess hall fade into the background as she focused on the task ahead. The laughter and mockery that had surrounded her felt less like an attack now, and more like a challenge that demanded a response. She knew she could no longer remain silent. It was time to reclaim her space and assert her rightful place among her peers. As she straightened in her chair, Emily quickly assessed the faces around her. Some were watching with curiosity, while others seemed unsure about how to react. With each passing moment, an electric energy surged within her, an energy fueled by all the hard work and sacrifice she had made to earn her place as a SEAL. "Hey, Jake," Emily called out, her voice clear and steady as she projected confidence that she hadn't fully felt until this moment. The laughter died down, and all eyes turned toward her, catching everyone's attention in an instant. "I think it's time we talked about what respect really means in this unit." A hush fell over the table as Jake smirked, but there was uncertainty behind his eyes now. Emily continued undeterred. "I know you think it's funny to crack jokes about my rank, but I've earned my place here through grit and perseverance. I didn't just show up. I fought to be recognized for my skills, just like every other SEAL sitting here." Her words hung in the air, the weight of them resonating with those who had been quietly observing the exchange. Emily glanced at some of her fellow SEALs, who were now listening intently rather than laughing. "I might not fit your idea of what a SEAL looks like," she continued, allowing her passion to rise. "But those jokes, they don't define me or my capabilities. I'm here to accomplish missions with you all, not be reduced to a punchline." The tension shifted subtly in the room as Emily stood firm in her convictions. Respect isn't given based on rank or appearance. It's earned through actions and dedication, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. Her voice became stronger with each word as she addressed not just Jake, but everyone present. Slowly, murmurs began to ripple through those at nearby tables, some nodding in agreement, while others looked contemplative about what she was saying. Emily could feel a small shift, a stirring of solidarity among those who understood that respect was something worth fighting for. As she finished speaking, Emily felt something new blossoming inside her, a sense of empowerment that came from standing tall against adversity. In that moment, she realized that by asserting herself confidently, she wasn't just defending her own dignity. She was paving the way for all women in military roles striving for equality and respect. With bated breath, everyone awaited Jake's response, the ball now firmly in his court, and Emily prepared herself for whatever came next with renewed strength and determination. As the laughter faded into an expectant silence, Emily felt the weight of her words settle over the mess hall. She locked eyes with Jake, who was still smirking, but now appeared a bit less certain. This was her moment, and she knew it. Respect is not just about rank. It's about what we bring to the table every day, she declared, her voice steady and clear. I've spent years training, pushing my limits, and proving myself in ways that only a few can truly understand. I didn't just earn this trident, I earned the right to stand here as a SEAL. Her heartfelt declaration resonated with many in the room, but she wasn't finished yet. She leaned forward slightly, engaging with her audience directly. You might think it's funny to joke about my position or question my dedication, but let me remind you that every single person in this unit has faced their own battles, whether in training or on missions. The tension in the hall shifted again as murmurs of agreement rippled through the nearby tables. Emily continued with her firm tone. I have fought alongside you all in challenging conditions. I've gone through sleepless nights and grueling workouts, just like everyone else here. She paused for emphasis, letting her words sink in. What makes me different doesn't make me less capable. It makes me stronger. We should be lifting each other up instead of tearing one another down. Emily's intelligence shone through as she articulated the importance of unity and respect within their ranks, drawing attention away from individual mockery and towards collective strength. "I may not fit your stereotypes of what a SEAL looks like," Emily pressed on, eyes scanning the faces of her comrades. "But it's time we recognize that true strength comes in many forms. Strength of character, strength of will, and strengths gained from working together." The room fell into an almost reverent silence as her words sunk deeper. Several SEALs nodded thoughtfully. Some even exchanged glances that hinted at newfound respect for Emily's bravery and poise. "In this unit, we need to support each other," she concluded passionately. "Because at the end of the day, we're all on the same team fighting for a common goal, making each other better and accomplishing our missions successfully." As she finished speaking, an electric buzz filled the air. Not merely a surprise at her unexpected comeback, but a sense of admiration for someone who could confront adversity with grace and conviction. Emily felt a rush of empowerment wash over her, as she recognized that standing up had not only reclaimed her dignity, but also opened doors for more meaningful conversations about respect within their military community. Everyone waited for Jake's response now, the atmosphere charged with anticipation, as Emily remained steadfast in her stance, knowing she had made an impact on those around her. As Emily concluded her powerful speech, an unexpected silence enveloped the mess hall. The laughter that had filled the space just moments before had vanished, leaving behind an almost palpable tension in the air. It was as if time itself had stopped, and every eye in the room was fixed on her, processing the weight of her words. Jake's smirk faded into a look of surprise. His bravado diminished as he absorbed the impact of what she had just articulated. The other SEALs, who moments ago had been caught up in their own jokes and laughter, sat in stunned silence, some with mouths slightly agape. It was a moment of reflection. They were no longer just spectators, but participants in a conversation about respect and camaraderie. The previously boisterous atmosphere transformed into one filled with contemplation. Emily could feel the eyes of her peers shifting from skepticism to recognition. She noticed a few faces nodding slowly, acknowledging the truth of her message. The murmurs that had followed her speech began to ripple through the room as people started to exchange glances, some offering supportive smiles, while others appeared deep in thought. A young sailor from a nearby table broke the silence first. "She's right," he said quietly but firmly. "We all need to support one another instead of tearing each other down." His comments sparked a wave of agreement among those who had been listening intently to Emily's words. Another SEAL chimed in. "Yeah, we've all put in the work. We need to lift each other up." This sentiment seemed to resonate deeply with the others, and nods began to ripple through the crowd like a wave washing over them. Emily felt a surge of empowerment at witnessing this shift in attitude. This wasn't just about her reclaiming respect. It was about igniting a change in how they all viewed one another within their ranks. She could sense that her words had sparked something significant, an opportunity for growth and unity among those who had once laughed at her expense. Even Jake seemed caught off guard by the shift in mood. His earlier confidence faltered as he glanced around at his fellow SEALs, who now appeared more contemplative than amused. The realization that Emily's courage had struck a chord with many made him reconsider his earlier comments. In that charged moment of silence, Emily realized she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was voicing what many felt, but hadn't expressed aloud before. The respect she sought was beginning to manifest in the atmosphere around her, transforming the mess hall into a space for solidarity rather than division. As conversations started bubbling back to life, this time centered around mutual respect and support, Emily understood she had made an impact far beyond what she initially intended. She sat there with newfound strength, knowing that her voice had created waves of change among her peers, setting a precedent for how they would interact moving forward. The atmosphere in the mess hall had transformed dramatically since Emily's powerful declaration. What was once filled with laughter and mockery now bore an air of introspection and newfound understanding among her peers. As conversations resumed, they were no longer light-hearted jests, but rather meaningful discussions about respect, camaraderie, and what it truly meant to be part of a team. Emily watched as SEALs who had previously laughed at her expense now engaged in thoughtful dialogue, sharing their own experiences of feeling undervalued or dismissed. One senior SEAL from another table spoke up. "You know, we've all been there at one point or another, feeling like we have to prove ourselves. It's easy to forget that everyone here has fought hard for their place." His words prompted nods and murmurs of agreement from those around him. As more service members shared their thoughts, the conversation shifted toward the importance of uplifting one another instead of fostering an environment filled with ridicule. The jokes that had once seemed harmless began to be viewed through a new lens, one that recognized how damaging they could be, especially to those still trying to establish their footing within the ranks. Emily felt a sense of relief wash over her as she realized that her moment of courage had sparked this change. Her voice had not only defended her dignity, but had also resonated deeply with others who might have felt similarly marginalized. The realization that they were all on this journey together began to permeate the room. They were united by shared struggles and victories rather than separated by rank or gender. "Let's make a commitment," one young sailor suggested with enthusiasm. "Let's really support each other moving forward. We all have something valuable to contribute." The sentiment struck a chord, igniting further energy in the hall. Others chimed in, expressing their eagerness to promote a culture of respect and encouragement. The shift in tone was palpable. It felt as if a collective weight had been lifted, replaced by a sense of solidarity and purpose. Emily's heart swelled with pride, not just for herself, but for her entire unit, as they collectively recognized the need for change. They were beginning to understand that true strength lay not just in physical prowess, but also in how they treated one another. As applause broke out sporadically around the room, Emily felt gratitude swell within her. This was the type of environment she had always envisioned, a place where everyone could rise together, where respect was not only acknowledged, but actively practiced. In this moment, she knew that she had contributed to something bigger than herself, something pivotal that could redefine how they interacted moving forward. The mess hall buzzed anew with energy, but this time it was charged with respect and empathy rather than mockery, a testament to what could happen when one person chose to stand up for themselves and others. As the energy in the mess hall shifted from mockery to respect, Emily reflected on the important lessons learned that day. The atmosphere had transformed into one of camaraderie and support, a reminder that the military is not just about physical strength and skill, but also about how its members treat one another. In a world where titles and ranks sometimes define relationships, Emily's courageous stand highlighted a fundamental truth. Respect must be earned through actions and empathy. The way her peers responded to her voice served as a powerful reminder that one person's courage can inspire others to speak up and advocate for change. The SEALs had not only recognized Emily's worth, but had also started to acknowledge their own experiences and the need to foster a culture built on understanding and mutual support. It was evident that when individuals choose to stand up against negativity, they create ripples of change that can influence an entire community. Emily felt immense pride to be a part of this unique brotherhood, a brotherhood now focused not solely on rank, but on strengthening the bond they shared as service members. As she glanced around the room, she saw newfound respect reflected in the eyes of her fellow SEALs. Their collective determination to create a more inclusive environment ignited hope within her. This shift was not only beneficial for women in the military, but for everyone, as it paved the way for open dialogue and genuine support. In moments of challenge, true leaders emerge, not necessarily through declarations of authority, but by challenging the status quo and advocating for what is right. Emily's speech served as both a reflection of her journey and a call to action for all those present. It underscored the belief that each member of the military has something unique to contribute, regardless of rank or background. As conversations continued with an emphasis on uplifting one another, it became clear how crucial it is for service members to cultivate respect in all areas of their lives. Emily's journey had shown them how vital it is to acknowledge one another's struggles, ensuring that everyone feels valued and heard. Ultimately, this experience in the mess hall transcended just one moment. It was a step towards building a resilient unit, grounded in respect and solidarity. Each SEAL left that day with a renewed sense of purpose, not just for their individual missions, but for fostering an inclusive environment where everyone could thrive together. Emily knew this was just the beginning. She felt empowered by the ripple effect of her words, recognizing that each person's courage to stand up fosters a culture where respect grows organically. Through this one act of bravery, she had lit a spark, reminding everyone that together they could forge a path toward true unity and respect within the military, a journey worth taking together.